What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is DJCS. Welcome back to an all-new video here on my YouTube channel. Now, since the beginning of about 2020, I have dedicated this channel to being about video games, forsaking all movie trailers and TV shows that I'm really super interested in and have theories and how I think WandaVision is going to shape the MC universe going forward. But that's not what this channel is about anymore. But sometimes, once in a while, we get a video game that becomes a movie. So therefore, it does relate to the channel. And that is what we're going to talk about in this video. So, in this video, we are going to talk about the Mortal Kombat Red Band trailer that came out about a week ago. And you may be asking yourself, what is a Red Band trailer? Well, a Red Band trailer shows you all the things they can't show you on TV. You won't see this trailer on TV. You can only go to YouTube to watch it, or possibly like the site for the website that has a movie. You know, back in the day, movies used to have websites. I don't know if they still do. Nonetheless, you can only watch this on the internet. So put the kiddos to away because shit is about to get crazy. But before we get into that, if you're new here, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and drop a like. I would greatly appreciate that. The trailer starts off in an icy room, and we get some narration by who we would later find out is Sonya Blade, played by Jessica McNamee. And I apologize if I pronounce any of these names wrong. I'm sure I'm going to murder some of them. Again, I do apologize, but I want to give you guys as much information as I can, give you the actors and actresses who are playing these people. So Sonya Blade, played by Jessica McNamee, and she's explaining a failed mission by her and Jax to
capture a wanted fugitive.
We then see that wanted fugitive attack Jax. Jax is played by Mehcad Brooks from Supergirl. That's where I know him from. And the fugitive is Sub-Zero, played by Joe Taslim. When Jax goes to shoot him, Sub-Zero freezes the gun and the buckshots. You see how it like freezes, and you see like the tiny little buckshots all around. Sub-Zero doesn't seem to like that too much and proceeds to freeze and then rip off Jax's arms. Now, in Mortal Kombat lore, originally, Jax just got metallic bionic implants just for the fight, for the tournament. But that was later retconned in Mortal Kombat, the 2011 reboot of the franchise, which was actually the 9th Mortal Kombat video game of the series. His arms were destroyed by Ermac in a fight. So it seems that they are changing a bit from the lore. It continues on with Sonya Blade tells this new character that we have that the
target has superhuman abilities.
So most likely they haven't really dealt with anyone like this before, but possibly now they are prepared for such people. And of course, by prepared, I mean that they've gone and got enhancements, better weapons. You know, Jax got his metal arms. Sonya has her like psionic blast or whatever the heck that thing is called, the orbs that she shoots from her wrists. And then after we see the roll of the studio logos, we find out the new character's name is Cole Young, played by Louis Tan. And he has a dragon marking on his chest. And it's the Mortal Kombat symbol, and it looks like it's literally branded into his chest. Then what we find out is his sister, Emily Young, played by Matilda Kimber, says
it's a birthmark.
What do you mean?
He was born with it.
Which may lead to some of the theories we get into later. We see Cole doing MMA fighting, and Jax tells him,
"It's not a birthmark, Cole. It means you've been chosen."
Now, the interesting part of this scene is that we heard Sonya telling Cole the story of how Jax got his arms ripped off. However, in this scene where Jax says you were chosen, you can clearly see his hands on the steering wheel and a bit of his shoulder, and there's no metallic arms or hands. So perhaps in this scene, in this car scene, if this is actually part of the movie, who knows? There could be some trailer trickery going on here. This is actually part of the movie. Perhaps he's actually talking to Sonya or someone else, or maybe it's just a continuity error. Let's hope not. And then we see Cole wearing yellow gloves, which will lead to theories later on. Then we get our first shot of the back of Melina, played by Sissy Stringer, as she's walking away or towards something, and we see her iconic size. Sonya Blade begins to explain the Mortal Kombat tournament to Cole, and we get a shot of what looks to be Raiden and Shang Tsung having a meeting or possibly a battle in what looks to be the same icy building we saw at the beginning with Sub-Zero. Sonya says,
A great tournament of champions.
it's a great tournament. Then there's a pause, and then it continues, of champions. But that last part, the of champions part, seems to be added in there from a different place in the movie. The audio was kind of abrupt, and there's like kind of a sound in the background. Just you kind of hear it chime in real quick. It doesn't sound like it's all part of the same sentence, same scene. And then we see Cole looking at himself in the mirror, but then there's a quick flash of what is most likely Scorpion, and it kind of shocks him like he saw a ghost. Sonya Blade continues to talk about Cole's dragon marking as we get an amazing fight scene in our first look at Hanzo Hasashi, who was, of course, Scorpion, played by Hiroyuki Sanada. And again, I apologize if I'm saying any of these names wrong. And he's throwing around a spear on a rope while fighting what has got to be the Lin Kuei as they attack his village, the clan, the Shiryu, and his family. As we know from the lore, the Lin Kuei attack Scorpion. They kill his clan. They kill his family, and they kill him, basically. So, again, if they're continuing with the lore, then that is what's going to happen. And then afterwards, Hanzo Hasashi goes and seeks his vengeance against the Lin Kuei's leader, Bihan, aka Sub-Zero. He ends up making a deal with, like, Quan Chi, I believe it is. And if I'm wrong about any of this stuff, please feel free to correct me down in the comments. I'm not, too savvy on the Mortal Kombat lore. I did some research and looked up some things, and I do know some things from playing the games throughout the years, but it's not all up here. But someone says,
these are your champions.
But the tone of it is almost as a question, like saying, these are your champions? And so I'm guessing this is Shang Tsung asking maybe Raiden, these are your champions. These simple looking weak humans from Earthrealm are your champions? Like, really? This is who you chose to save your realm? Then we kind of get like a roll call of our heroes. We have Sonya, who introduces herself, and then Sonya actually introduces Kano. And they're almost depicting Kano as a good guy, which is weird because he is notoriously a villain, like the baddest of bad guys. But in Mortal Kombat lore, he did work with Sonya and Jax, like in the early times, and her unit and the Special Forces in an attempt to find the leader of the Black Dragons. Spoiler alert, it was Kano. So he kind of does like a double turn on them. He was fooling them the whole time, messing with them, and duped them in the Special Forces, and it was actually responsible for the deaths of many of Sonya's comrades. And but in this scene, she's actually fighting Kano, so that's a saving grace. Also of note, in this scene, where we see the laser coming out of Kano's eye, seems to be coming out of his left eye, which is weird because it's always come out of his right eye. And we even see later on in the trailer where the right side of his face is kind of messed up. Now, this could just be some camera trickery. As you'll see here, I'm going to flip it around where actually now it kind of looks like it's his right eye instead of his left eye. They could have just switched the scene around or something. Or it could actually be coming out of his right eye. It's just kind of spaced away. I don't think that's actually the case. But nonetheless, I hope that they either fix this or something. I don't know. And like I said, later on we see that his face is kind of damaged, so maybe that could result to the metal plate that he gets over his head and the like enhancements that go along with it. But it could just be a continuity error also, as I mentioned before, but I hope not. Then we see Liu Kang for the first time, played by Luden Lin. He gets fired up with some fireballs. Then we see Jax, and then Kung Lao, played by Max Hong. And one thing I love is the character-appropriate costumes. Everybody looks like they're supposed to look, for the most part. Like Sonya Blade and Jax, their costumes are kind of, you can change them up as because they're normal clothes. But Kung Lao looks like he's wearing Kung Lao's outfit. Same thing with Liu Kang we see later. Also in this scene with Kung Lao, we see this thing that looks like something out of the 90s Power Rangers like set. But this is most likely Raiden's lair. Then Kung Lao blocks what may be the laser from Kano's eye that we saw earlier. So it looks like Kano maybe isn't the good guy, but we'll touch on that in a little bit just later. Then we finally get a look at Lord Raiden, played by Todanabu Asano. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. And he says,
Fate of Earth is in our hands.
and it shows a great shot of Jax's hands. His arms and hands aren't just chrome sleeves, they're full-on Terminator 2 cybernetic organisms, which is awesome. I love that they're, going in full with the detail with it. Then we get a shot of all our heroes in Raiden's lair. I say heroes because you can see Kano is there. So again, they're kind of portraying him as a hero, maybe an anti-hero. He's fought Sonya. He attacked Kung Lao, it looks like. So I don't know really where he stands in this trailer. He's got to be a bad guy. Maybe he's just going to play along for his own safety for a little bit and then turn on him later. I don't know. But then Raiden teleports them to the desert. So maybe the fighting scene we saw with Sonya and Kano comes after this. I don't really know. We will find out when the movie comes out, though. Just going through some theories. After a title card that says Experience a New Age, we see Hanzo in full Scorpion garb and teleporting either in or out of the icy building we saw earlier. The icy building we keep seeing throughout this trailer. Liu Kang then walks through the desert. Another shot of Scorpion. Then we see Kung Lao and Cole squaring off. Maybe seeing what each has to offer, challenging each other to see if Cole is worthy of being in the tournament. Then we get this awesome shot of Melina with mouth ripped open, licking the blood off her thigh. This may be from a fight scene, which we see again later in the trailer. Then we see a statue of the man behind it all, Shao Kahn. Now, Shao Kahn is not believed to be in this movie, though I think he may be at the end of the movie or in an end scene or something like that. We'll talk a little bit more on that later. But because basically Shao Kahn is the reason for this tournament taking place because he wants to seize Earthrealm. And the lore has it, he and his champion, who appears in just a bit, have won 9 out of 10 tournaments. If he wins all 10, he can invade Earthrealm and potentially take it over. So I have heard rumblings of Reptile being in the trailer. However, I don't know if anyone pointed out this shot right here where someone is lowering themselves down onto a scaffold or a lighting rig or something like that. And he goes from invisible to visible. And we see muscle tissue form. And it looks like they're spying on Sonya Blade, I think that is down there. But as far as I know, Reptile is the only character who can turn invisible. So this is to me, this is the best proof of Reptile right here. Then we see Shang Tsung, played by Chin Han, briefly as he says, "Kill them," with Sub-Zero and Melina behind him. Then Sub-Zero comes out of his own portal. Liu Kang powers up to summon a fire dragon, one of his finishers from the game. There we go. My turn. In this scene, and another later on, we see Cabal. Cabal is announced to be in this movie. He's played by Daniel Nelson, so it's definitely a confirmed character. And this is clearly him, as you can see his iconic hook swords that he looks to be using to try to block the fire dragon, which is not going to work well, most likely. Because in MK lore, Cabal's origins has changed quite a few times. Originally a member of the Black Dragon clan, and then maimed and scarred after Shao Kahn's extermination squad attacked him after Raiden named him part of Earthrealm's defenders. But in the reboot, the Mortal Kombat 9 in 2011, he was part of New York PD's riot control team alongside Curtis Stryker and was burned by Kentaro.
Spread out. Give him multiple targets.
However, in the movie, they may be using Liu Kang to kind of burn him and otherwise scar him to kind of move Cabal into that direction, which is kind of weird for Liu Kang to do because Liu Kang, in the first game, they didn't make Liu Kang that violent. He didn't have a finisher that killed anybody because he's like a Shaolin monk. Then in other games like Mortal Kombat 2, they kind of changed that, but it'd be kind of weird to see Liu Kang be the one responsible for burning Cabal. Especially if Cabal is a good guy, which it appears he has been. So then we get one of the bigger surprises of the trailer. Goro leaps into the air over what is most likely a red shirt type of character with either green or gold skin and a human head. Though some are saying this is Cole Young, I'm not sold on that. I also I have some theories on that I'll touch on later, but if you don't know what a red shirt character is, basically they're just expendable people that just die. They're there to be killed. Then Sub-Zero makes it rain ice. Then we see Liu Kang fighting Cabal once again, and we can see that Cabal is already covered from head to toe. So he gets burned, and then he has to have the respirators and stuff installed, and then he starts wearing a mask afterwards. But we don't really get a look at what our actor or our character is going to look like in his face. But then Sub-Zero is back in the ice building, creates a sword of, you guessed it, made of ice, and it looks like he's facing off a scorpion. However, this scorpion seems to be different than the other ones we've seen in the other shots. Now, it may just be because of lighting or whatever, but the costume in the shots before this one seemed darker, where this one has an obvious yellow color to it. We didn't really get those touches of yellow in the other shots. Again, could be because of lighting, don't know. But Bihan says,
I am Sub-Zero.
Then him and Scorpion go at it. There is some editing cut trickery in here as we see them first fighting with swords. Then Scorpion pulls out his iconic spear, flips it around in his hand, and goes to strike. But then it cuts to Sub-Zero landing a strike with his sword, and we see blood fly out of Scorpion, and which Sub-Zero then freezes and uses to stab Scorpion again. Sub-Zero also creates an ice wall, something straight out of the video games, and throws Scorpion through it.
Finish him. Brutality.
Ability to freeze.
Sub-Zero wins.
This scene reminds me of the Fatal Blow cutscenes from Mortal Kombat 11 and the X-Rays cutscenes from, we got like Mortal Kombat 9, but more so the Fatal Blow cutscenes. Possibly some more editing trickery as Scorpio seems to just brush off all that just happened to him, pulls out his spear once again to throw it, catches Sub-Zero, says his famous line,
Get over here.
I did hear some people saying that they wish they dubbed in Ed Boon's voice. I think he's the one who did it originally in the video games. But I'm glad they had the actual actor do it because it makes it more authentic by having, an Asian actor saying the words of an Asian person. Just makes it more authentic. The music comes all the way up and we hear the iconic Mortal Kombat theme as the movie title appears on the screen. Then Shang Tsung yells, and we get a quick collage of a bunch of punishing action shots, including Jax hitting an uppercut, Sonya Blade blasting a hole into Mileena, with I think Cole Young standing there ready to fight. Hanzo Hasashi stabs a Lin Kuei member in the head with a knife. We see more of the Mileena-Sonya fight, and it looks like Mileena is stabbing Sonya in the hand, possibly where she then goes and licks the sai. And then Kano heart punches this monster, which everyone seems to think is Reptile, which, yes, it does look like some kind of lizard monster thing. It almost looks more like one of the Lycans from Underworld. But I don't think this is Reptile. I think it's either some random character, again, another red shirt or something like that, for them to do finishers on, or possibly this guy, the one that Goro was fighting earlier that we saw in the trailer, are from Reptile's race, his clan, called Raptors. It's entirely possible. I do think that shot we saw earlier, lowering down the invisible to visible, was Reptile. These two, I'm not so sure, unless this is like Reptile's final form. But again, I don't think they would waste Reptile like this just to have Kano kill him. I hope not. Kano appears to have ripped out the creature's heart. Another reason why I don't think it's Reptile, again, because he could have more than one heart. But Kano says,
Kano wins. You fucking beauty.
And then we get the release date, April 16th in theaters and on HBO Max. And that's the trailer. So I'm really excited for this movie. I'm excited to watch it from my home as many times as I like for 30 days, as they upload these movies same day as theater, but you can only watch them for as much as you want within those 30 days. After that, it kind of goes away and then it appears on VOD or something like that. My personal theories. We actually heard from the director of the movie. I think it was the director, possibly the producer. I'll correct myself here on the screen. That the first 10 minutes of the movie shows us the story between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. So we obviously get that scene where Sub-Zero and Lin Kuei attack Scorpion's village, and then perhaps we see the descension of Hanzo Hasashi into Scorpion as he makes some kind of deal with someone and vows to get his vengeance on Sub-Zero. Originally, in the lore, Scorpion makes a deal with Quan Chi. Quan Chi doesn't seem to be in this movie at all, but perhaps he makes it with a disguised Shang Tsung. We only really see Scorpion fighting Sub-Zero in that ice building, which seems to be the same place Jax got his arms ripped off. So maybe there's a bit of a time jump, and then we get from the attack on Scorpion's village to the ice building, where we get Scorpion fighting Sub-Zero. He confronts him again, but Scorpion calls him Bihan, and Bihan then replies, "I don't go by that name anymore. I am Sub-Zero." So that's the scene, the cut we got in the trailer. Then, after the battle is over, maybe Scorpion gets defeated and retreats, but vows to kill Sub-Zero. That's when we see him teleport out. We then see Raiden and Shang Tsung converse, in that ice shot. Perhaps another time jump, where we then come together with present day, and we have Sonya, the cybernetic arm Jax, Cole Young, and the rest of our heroes in the tournaments. I know that's a lot of time jumps, but the first time jump between the attack on Scorpion's village and the fight at the Sub-Zero or the ice building doesn't have to be years. It could be months. Again, it could be the attack. We see the descension of Scorpion into, madness, and he becomes Scorpion. And then, it says like 2 weeks later or whatever. Then we see the ice building. And then it could be, 2 years later after Jax, or, 2 months later, whenever Jax gets his arms. Sure. It won't really make sense if the attack happens, then the ice building, and then Jax just has robotic arms for some reason. As to Cole Young, there's a lot of speculation on who he could be. A defendant of either Scorpion or Sub-Zero, which would make sense with the flash of Scorpion and the hints of yellow in his fight gear. There's also rumblings that he may be the arrogant, cocky, brash, foolhardy Johnny Cage. Conspicuous by his absence of this trailer and possibly the movie. He was one of the original characters of the first game. With Cole's MMA fighting background, maybe towards the end of the movie, he gets an offer to be a star in some big blockbuster movie, and talking to an agent, and the agent says, "We got to give you a stage name. How about Johnny Cage?" It's possible. I don't know if that's the route I would go down, but it is possible. I am, however, leaning more on the Descendant theory than the Cage theory, but it is odd that Johnny Cage is not in this trailer. I don't really think that Kano was a good guy. Again, as I mentioned briefly before, I think he's going to do whatever he has to do to save his own ass, and will likely screw over Sonya or Raiden in the end. And, get out of town while the getting's good. It's interesting that the trailer and possibly the movie doesn't seem to be focused on Liu Kang, which he's been the main protagonist of all the games, and the Mortal Kombat winner of the tournament for quite some time, until he got killed by Shang Tsung and Quan Chi. I'm sure many people are actually happy about this because, he's kind of been forced down a throat as the good guy, and a lot of people don't like Liu Kang because of that. That's why a lot of focus has been pushed off onto Scorpion, because Scorpion has become one of the top favorites of the game. The bad guy that people love to cheer for. That's why they made Scorpion a good guy, possibly. I do think they will set up many things for a second film, including the death of Sub-Zero Bihan, and then possibly the appearance of Noob Saibot in the second film. I think Shao Kahn will make an appearance, as I mentioned before, either towards the end or possibly in an end credit scene, kind of like Thanos did in the Avengers, where he's, I'll do it myself. And we all also possibly make it a Johnny Cage end credit scene. If it does follow lore, then Liu Kang will win the tournament, and Shao Kahn will find a way to lure the Earthrealmers back to Outworld and have a tournament of his own. Or basically he will just refuse to accept defeat and will say to hell with the rules of the Elder Gods and simply invade Earthrealm, which will, break the Mortal Kombat law, code, whatever it is. break the rules of Mortal Kombat. And also throughout the movie, I'm hoping and thinking we will get some teases for other characters like Curtis Stryker, Katana, who is also strangely absent from the trailer. You have Melina. Why don't you have Katana? They're twins, or like Melina's a clone of Katana, so you know, kind of, I don't want to say you need her, but you should have her. Also, Sindel, Kintaro, Shiva, Shinnok, Cyrax, Sector, and other characters. They may just simply be mentioned by name. Like Curtis Stryker could be something like at the police precinct. You know, we see someone walk up and we don't really see him on camera, but we hear Sonya call him, you know, Officer Strike or whatever, something like that. So that is everything for this video. It's a very long video. I have a lot of work to do on my hands with all the editing I got to do for this and putting in scenes and chopping stuff up. But if you guys have enjoyed this video, please drop it a like. I would greatly appreciate that. If you are new here, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. With all that said and done, guys, let me know your thoughts on the movie, on the trailer, down in the comments. Let me know your predictions, your theories on what is going to happen with this movie. Are you hyped for this movie? Do you think it's going to be a disappointment like the other two in the 90s were? Let me know all that down in the comments. With all that said and done, guys, my name is DJ CS. Have a good one, and as always, don't forget to tip your DJ. Later, dudes.